Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Browncoat67 here today, and we are going to be taking a look at custom portals. I know that I was gone for a little while, and I'm very thankful at the awesome comments I've been getting back as I've returned. So thank you, everybody there. I see we have a few people in the chat already. That's pretty wicked. How's everybody doing today? So, first, I have one design here for a portal. I haven't done any of the command work. Uh, I, in the past, have done a couple videos on quartz themed builds for these portals, and I think it looks really nice. This one I plan on probably using the sonic explosion from the Warden for the actual portal effect, and so we'll go over that. But I also built a second portal design, and we'll connect these two portals in this video here today. But for those that wanted a little bit of a different aesthetic, this one here is using, as you can see, the red nether bricks. And then for the actual portal, I was thinking of like columns of smoke and lava particles coming out of the ground, like it was some kind of like portal or gateway down to like, yes, nether looking, but obviously we can make these go anywhere we want, including other dimensions. So this is the second portal build, and again, no commands in here. I left them both hollow because we're going to be going over all of that today, including setting up the particles and the sound effects. But the first one I want to do is going to be over here at the quartz portal. So I see already we've got Gabriel and we've got Bai. I think that's how you're going to pronounce that down in the chat. How you doing? All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is make sure you have your coordinates on. If you don't have coordinates on, you're not going to be able to see where you're standing, and we need specific coordinates for the particles and the execute commands that are going to run teleport. So make sure you go to your settings, and then if you just scroll down a little bit down here, right below friendly fire, you'll see show coordinates. Make sure you have that on. And then that'll pop up right in the upper left of your screen. So first thing, I want my portal to be pretty much right around here, I think. So what am I looking at here? I got like 150, 151 is going to be for the X. 70 is where I'm standing, but the sonic explosion particle's kind of big, so I might want to have that up one. So like 71 possibly for that one. And then 248 probably for the Z axis there. So let me come on down here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put down a command block. Let's go ahead and set this for repeat and always active. For the particle effect, we want it to just kind of constantly be going. So we want to make sure that we're setting that as repeating always active. And so for the particle effect here, we're going to use the particle command. And in the first one, we're going to do Minecraft Sonic Explosion. Now, I know that a lot of people think it's Sonic Boom, and for the sound effect, I believe it is Sonic Boom, but for the visual particle, it's Sonic Explosion. And then the coordinates that I had for there was between 150 and 151 for the X. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 150.5. Decimals in Bedrock don't work very cleanly, so I'll have to check and see where exactly we need to move it, but that's a pretty good starting point for us. And then I said probably 71 on the Y because I wanted it up off the ground one. And then what did I have that as? Was that 148? I think it was. Sorry, negative 248 for the last one. I almost put that in a very, very wrong position. So negative 248. So that should... It looks like there's no syntax errors. That should make that portal for us. All right, so we're still a little bit off to the side, and so we're closer to 150 than 151. And I think I did 150.5, so we'll have to increase that decimal a little bit to move it over. And then I might raise it up a smidge too. It's a little low to the ground. So if I were to go back in here, let's change that 150.5 to, I'm going to do 0.9 just to move it over a little bit more. And then try 0.5 on that one to see how that looks. That looks way better. That's pretty much centered, and it's raised up enough where it's filling up the whole kind of archway as a portal would. So the effect on this one, I think we're pretty much done. Let's worry about the sound effect now. So for this portal, using this animation, I think that the beacon sound is probably a good choice for the portal. And since I put this block with the arrows pointing outward, I'm going to attach another block directly onto that side so that the arrow points to the block I put down. And I'm going to make that a chain, conditional, always active. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to be putting in a sound effect. So we're going to do play sound. That's the command that we're using to do that. And I want the beacon, the ambient sound. So beacon.ambient, I believe, is what I need to do. But I also want the sound to sound like it's coming from the portal. Let me do a target real quick. Let's do all players. Range equals 30 blocks or so. The sound's going to fall off the closer and further away you get anyway. But I think that's a pretty good range. And then anyway, as I was saying, we want the sounds to sound like it's coming from the portal. So I know that the portal is up above it. So let me do my tildes. And I'm going to say probably, 6 blocks above it would be pretty good, maybe 5. And then I also know that it was on the z-axis a little bit further away from where my command block is. Maybe 1. Okay, I can hear it. Let's get up closer. Alright, so it might be a little further. Oh, you know what? It's a -1. That'll be better. All right, let's go try that. So what I'm doing with those tildes, is I'm using the relative coordinates of the command block. Because remember, whenever we're doing coordinates and we use tildes, those are the local coordinates. So where the command block is, but I'm adding 5 to the y, which means that it's going up 5. And then I'm adding -1 to the z, which means that it's going to move this way. You see my coordinates? When I move this way, it decreases my z by 1. So it'll be closer this way 1 and then up 5, so that the sound for the portal is actually coming from probably right around here. Yeah, that's why it sounds so loud when I'm staring at it. So that's the sound effects and the visual effect for the portal here. Pretty easy so far. The next thing that we need to do is we're going to set up the execute command that's going to check for if a player goes into the portal, and then it's going to teleport them. So we've got the coordinates here. We're going to use that, 150, probably 71, -248. We're going to check to see if a player gets close to that spot. Let me put this up here. This one's going to be repeating. We're going to leave it unconditional, always active. And so for this one here, /execute, and we're going to do execute as @A. We're looking for a player, and I've got those specific coordinates. So we'll do 1x equals 151, y equals 71, z equals -248. Let's do within a radius of probably 2 blocks from there to teleport the player. So you just got to get close enough to the portal, basically touch the portal, and it'll teleport you. So I think that looks good. And so what we're going to do then is we're going to run TP, and then we're going to teleport at S, which is now going to be the player within 2 blocks of that position. And we're going to teleport them to the coordinates for this portal over here. So let's go grab those real quick. Want to make sure we're not putting you randomly somewhere else. We want you to come out the other portal, right? All right, here we go. So this one's probably going to check for 2 blocks as well. So we don't want to come out on these 2 spaces, probably on this space here. So for this here, the coordinates are -221, 69, -118. So we're probably going to use this for the coordinates to come out. I might do like -220.5 to try and get us more in the middle here. Or I might even have us come down a little bit further away just to avoid getting teleported right away back into the other portal. Because if you spawn yourself in right on the other portal, you just get stuck in an infinite loop of teleporting back and forth. All right, so I got the coordinates for my second portal, and so now we're going to head back to the first one. Such a long trip. Anyway, which of these portals do you like more right now? Obviously, you can't see the effects on the other one, so your opinion might change when I get that. But which of these base designs are you liking more? All right, so now I'm gonna just finish up that command right here. We're gonna teleport the player who's in that spot to -220.5, and then let's do 70, I think it was, and then I think it was -119, and then we're going to be even more specific. I want to make sure that you're facing the right direction so that it feels like you came out of the portal. So I'm going to use those same coordinates again, except for this time I'm going to decrease this one even further, which I know is in the direction that I want to go. So when I come out of the portal, I want to face this way, and I know by going this way, it decreases my Z coordinate. So all I did was decrease the Z coordinate by 3 more. So now, in theory, if I go through this portal, it should pop me out of the other one, facing the right direction. See, I don't have this portal necessarily set up yet, but it definitely worked. I have 119, yeah, I might do 118, I'm not sure yet, but that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Let's get started on making this portal. As I mentioned, this one here, I'm not going to do like the sonic explosion particle effects. I'm planning on doing like a smoke column, so I'm thinking probably campfire smoke particles, and then the lava particle is kind of what I have in my mind here. So let's go ahead and put some command blocks down. This one's probably going to use a few more command blocks than the other one. I think the other one we only used 3. So to start off, we're going to do repeating, always active, just like we started off on the other one. And then let's go ahead and do particle. That's going to work if I type that in. And then we'll do Minecraft, campfire, smoke, particle, and then the coordinates for this, because this is kind of like a single column of smoke. I'll probably put one on both sides. So this one here is 221, and this one here is 220. And then that's at what, 69, -116. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the particle effect, but I'm going to run it at, let's start with one side. So it's 220, 69, -116. And I can actually just copy that real quick. So now it's going to stop coming out of the command block. Yep, and it's going to start making it come out of that position. Let me do 221 on this. Since it's on that side of the build, I'd prefer it to control that side of the smoke. All right, so now we can do the same thing over here. Let's do repeat, always active. And then I'm actually going to paste that original command that I had in. So I've got one producing the campfire smoke particle column on one side of my portal, and then the other one is doing it on the other side. So I should have 2 columns of smoke. Now that's starting to look okay. I don't necessarily like that I can see the gap in the middle. So I'm thinking, let's try to do another column of smoke. Maybe this one, since I'm going to put it in the middle, I'll do the tall campfire smoke. See how that looks. So I'm going to do a chain, conditional, always active. We're going to do particle, Minecraft, and then I think it's campfire. Is it tall smoke particle? I think it is. And then that was at negative 221, 69, and then negative is at 116. Oh, wait. I want this to be in the middle. So let's try 220.5. All right, let's see how this is starting to look. All right, so that's pretty far over. It's not in the middle at all. So let me drop that down. Instead of 0.5, let's make it 0.1. Usually those extreme decimals for some reason work better. Okay, all right, it's filling up the middle. Wow, it's still kind of biased over to the negative 221, but that's probably as close as I'm going to get it. I like having that tall one in the middle too, because now we can kind of see the portal from further away. So if we're walking around trying to find it, oh, bam, there it is right there. All right, so it's looking pretty good so far. But we're missing the lava particles. I want those lava particles kind of spewing out of the ground there. All right, and I got a request from Tausif Hassan. Yo, Browncoat67, can you give me a shout out? Well, consider this a shout out. I'm not sure. Let me take a look here. I can't seem to open up your page here from my stream screen, but thanks for coming in and watching. All right, and I see Bowblocks there is sighing. What are you sighing for, Bowblocks? All right, so moving on to the next one we're going to do. I'm going to add a chain right over to this one here. We're going to do the same thing, conditional, always active. And this time I want to do a lava particle. So I'm actually going to copy this exact command. And I'm just going to change out the particle that I'm using, because I think the coordinates are pretty much going to be the same. So lava underscore particle. I think that's the one I'm going for, right? Fly. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's kind of terrifying. I like that. What do you guys think? Now I need a sound for this. And I was looking at some of the sounds, and I think I found one that I like the most for it. It's really disturbing, kind of unsettling sounding using it like this. So I apologize if anybody here is a little because of it, but let's go ahead and pull that out now. So what we're going to do is, if you remember, we're going to do play sound. And actually, hold on. I could just chain that onto one of these. Since those are running consistently, I'll always have that signal, play sound. And then I'm going to do the mob.blaze underscore, there's an E there, underscore breath. And this is the sound it makes when they do their breathing thing. We're going to do all players, range equals 30, and then I'm going to use coordinates to try and offset it so it sounds like it's coming from the portal. So I know that right now I need to increase the x-axis, decrease it by like probably 1.5. I need to increase the y by 4 or 5. And then the Z I need to decrease as well. So Let's decrease that by negative 1.5. We're going to add probably 5 to the y. And then we're going to decrease the z by 1. I think that's going to sound pretty good. There's one more thing, though. This is a fairly loud command. So let's reduce the volume. So the next thing we want to type in is 0.6. And then I don't want to change the pitch, so I'm just going to have that as a 1. Is that working? Let me get a little closer here, see if I can hear it. Not hearing it. Let me go see if I did the... see, play sound, mob.blaze. You know what? I don't think there's an underscore here. I think that's a period. There we go. And that's why going back and double checking your commands if they're not working, really, sometimes it's obvious, right? But yeah, that's a pretty good sound for a portal. It's kind of sounds like something's bursting forth, a lot of energy coming out. And so the next part is to hook this up with an execute teleport commands to the other teleport portal that we have on the other side. So I have the coordinates from the other side when I was there, but we can go over that again if you didn't grab the coordinates. Let's go ahead and start over that way. I almost want to put night vision on so I can see in the water a little bit better. Alright, so let's grab... Oh, you know what? It's going to be hard to grab coordinates because it'll teleport me. So let me fly above it. I know that we want to come out a little bit ahead, just like on the other side as well. So we're looking at probably 150 and a half. And then I think we were down on 70. And then negative 251. So yeah, 70, 251, I think will work perfectly well. So we're going to do... Sorry, I'm going to turn up that sound effect for a second. I'm not sure if that's interrupting so you guys can't hear me or not. So what I'm going to do for the teleport here is we're going to start with execute. And what we're doing is as at A, and now we're going to type in those specific coordinates from the other side again. So I believe it was X equals like 220, Y equals 70, and then the Z equals, I think it was... negative. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, so first we're looking for the coordinates here. That's right. I was doing it right. 220, and then we're going to do 70, and then negative 116. Sorry, I got myself confused. Z equals, I think it was negative 116. And then what we're going to do there is a range of, I think it was 2. And then we're going to run teleport at S because we're targeting the player that's there. So once a player is there, they become the specific runner of the command. So it's just going to target self here. And then for the other side, that was 151.5. I think we were doing 70 there as well. And then that was negative 252. But I want to make sure I'm facing the right way. And I know, again, facing that direction is where Z will get smaller. So I need to decrease the Z total here for the facing. All right, turn you back on. See if it works. Ah, it doesn't work. Why is it not working? Take a look here. Execute as player. X equals 220. Oh, you know what? Am I negative 220? I am negative 220. And that's why debugging is essential. Everything has to be perfect for it to work right. So one little mistake like that and a whole system will break down. we go. I don't know, chat. What do you think about that, huh? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Anybody have any questions or anything that they want to bring up about what we're doing today with these custom portals? That'd be a pretty good time for that. Want to make sure that anybody has any questions. I spend a couple minutes here just trying to answer those. And while we're waiting, because I think there's a slight delay in the chat, we'll go right back over those commands one more time just to make sure if you joined in late that you didn't miss anything specific. So once again, we'll go over the quartz portal over here that uses the sonic explosion particle effect. So the first command block here that we put down is repeating always active, and that's going to be /particle Minecraft sonic explosion. And then the position, for me, because I wanted it in the middle, I ended up doing 150.9 because for some reason 150.5 was still pushed off really far to one side. So sometimes you have to experiment with those decimals a little bit. Then I want the center point to be 71.5, which raised the particle effect up, made it fill up the archway a little bit better, and then -248. So those are my coordinates. Make sure you're typing in your coordinates. And yes, you could turn the radius down a little bit. I see Petrin says maybe make the radius smaller. 1.5 to 2 is usually pretty effective. If you go any smaller, like if you use 1, you almost have to be specifically in the exact spot for it to work. So you want to branch out, make it a little bigger than that. But yeah, 2 might be a little bit high for what you're looking for. You could make it smaller. You could also set a bigger radius away, and anybody in there could get some nausea. So like the end portal, I'm sorry, not the end portal, the nether portal, you know, it makes your screen wobbly. You could get that same effect using the portal. So, chained up to that particle is the play sound that we're using. That was chain conditional, always active. And I'm doing play sound beacon.ambient. I think that ambient beacon sound sounds kind of like a magic hum. So it makes sense for a portal. And then we're doing at A, R equals 30. And then we're using local coordinates to offset the sound from where the command block is down here, so that it sounds like the sound is coming from the portal. You could also do this with specific coordinates. So if you wanted to, you could grab these exact coordinates here, where we are spawning in that particle effect, and you could put it there instead of using the tildes. So if it's confusing to you to try and use the local coordinates to offset your sound, just put in the specific coordinates from where you want the sounds to come from. And then the execute commands is in a repeating, always active command block. And what we're doing is we're executing as any player, and we're looking at these specific coordinates. So this is right where that portal is, and we're looking for it in a radius. And as Petrin said, you can adjust this radius however you want. Make it smaller, make it bigger, whatever you're looking for. You could have it run with a button instead of just using an execute command. It's really up to you. And then we're going to run teleport, and we can use @s now because we're running as the player. Give those coordinates and then add facing so that when you come out of the portal, you're facing in the right direction. Otherwise, you'll come out in the same direction you were facing before, which might not actually make sense with your portal. So that's all the commands for this one. And as you can see, I use some quartz columns. I've got some carved quartz blocks, smooth quartz blocks, stairs. I like the way that the white quartz blocks looks with that cyan light blue from the particle effect here. So, and this is also the design of a short and a tutorial that I did. I think that was a couple years ago. Very popular video, still getting a lot of attention on those. So it's one of the reasons I chose to do this today. There's still a lot of people curious about making these custom portals. So now we're going to go back over here, and we'll go over this one. As you can see, the entire build uses red nether brick. I've got red nether brick stairs. I've got red nether brick blocks. These are the, I think they're the walls. Yeah, they're definitely the wall pieces there. And so for the commands here, a little bit more extensive. Sorry, I think that's a little loud for the stream. Oh, I might have to sneeze. And it's gone. Okay. So the first command block here is repeating, always active. / particle, Minecraft campfire smoke particle. And then again, those are one set of the coordinates because I'm doing 3 of these campfires, 1 on one side, 1 on the other, and then 1 in the middle. And then chains to that, chain conditional, always active. I'm doing the particle Minecraft lava particle. Those are the little fireballs and embers and stuff coming out. I really like that part. I think that's a great addition to this portal effect. Then on the other side, same thing, repeat, always active. We're doing another one of those campfire smoke particles. This time, though, we're doing it offset to the other side of the portal. Chains to that, I've got the tall smoke particle, and you'll see that I'm trying to put those in the middle. We started off with 220.5, but that was really far off to one side. So I brought it over to 220.1, and that did put it mostly in the middle. I'm much happier with it there. But those are just the coordinates for the middle spot up there. And then this should be chained, but I think it's a little loud for the stream. Chain conditional, always active. Play sound, mob.blaze.breath, AR equals 30. And then here, let me turn this down actually a little bit more. Cut that volume in half so that maybe I can keep it on. I think that's a little bit better. So that's the play sound. And then just like on the other side, I have a single command that's repeating, always active, single command block. This is going to work as the teleporter. So we're going to execute at that specific position, which is going to be right up top in the smoke. And we're going to run teleport at S because we're running as the player. And I've grabbed those coordinates from the other side, and I'm making it face the right direction. That's really key to make these portals feel a little bit more natural. You want to be facing the correct direction when you come out. But there's one more thing for those of you that are still here, that stuck around through this, that I want to go over. The teleport command can be used to move you between dimensions. So you don't have to use a nether portal. Hold on. Petron, what does the 1 after the 0.3 for the volume do? That is a pitch controller. So pitch changes things from low to high like that, so you can adjust the pitch level of the sound, so you can raise it up to make it higher pitch, lower it down to make it lower pitch. But as I was saying, the teleport command, TP, as most of us like to do, at S, we use coordinates for this, and, most people think, okay, yeah, it's just for teleporting around. If you combine this with an execute, so execute in, let's say, nether, run TP at S. This, by using execute in nether, is going to teleport me to those coordinates that I put in the nether. I don't know where I'm at in the nether. That's good. At least I wasn't in a lava fall. Same thing for the end. I can teleport to the end. Apparently not. Maybe it's the end. I'm not sure. Let me see. Gotta be specific. Teleport in. Yep, the end. At S. Wait. There we go. There we go. So yeah, the execute command will let you teleport into other dimensions. So let me go back to the overworlds, and I'll show you how we can implement that into the execute commands that we're using in our command blocks. And hey, Glenn, Yeah, I have had my face on camera before. It's something that I typically only do when I'm live streaming a couple times in videos, but probably very likely the first time that many people are seeing it. So anyway, I have this execute command here. Now the cool thing about execute commands, I actually just put out a video on this. I think it was yesterday or the day before, so you can go back and watch that. But there's a lot of ways that you can modify these commands. So I'm doing execute as, and then I've got all that information about where we're looking for a player. So now I could also put in nether. And that should, in theory, check for a player here and then teleport me to that position in the nether. Ah! That's what you're looking for right there. So yeah, the commands are pretty cool for using custom portals or creating them. Uh-oh. Why can't I fly? Oh, it's ice. Ah! Well, this is certainly not where I was doing those. That's okay, though. I set my spawn point, so I should... Oh, yeah. There we go. And now I'm right back. So, yeah, even if you're playing in creative mode, make sure you set your spawn point to where your builds are, especially if you're hopping around in other dimensions. Because remember, if I travel through the nether and then I come back to the overworld, the distance I've traveled in the overworld is significantly further than the distance I traveled in the nether. There's a multiplier for the distance traveled, so it's really easy to get lost. Like, I don't even know where a snow biome is. I would have been lost forever. Let's see. Can you make a potion effect not show up in the top right? So, as far as I'm aware, if you have an effect status for using a game effect, the status symbol is always going to be there. I believe you can go into the game files and mess around to remove that. Other things you could do is use commands to try and simulate effects. So depending on the potion, instead of using effects resistance, I believe you can go into your player's attributes and, give yourself some extra stats there or things like that. So if you avoid using effects, you can avoid having those up on the top. But as far as if you're using an effect, I think it's going to be there. We come back reality. Yeah, we came back, candy bars. There you go. Perfect. Tossif has it in there. I'm not familiar with that command. Let's try that out. HUD at A, hide, status effects. So now if I give myself effects at S, resistance, let's say for 10 seconds. Yeah, there you go. Good call from Tossif. That's super awesome. Yeah, they've actually, with the last couple updates, they've expanded a lot of new commands I'm going to be doing some videos on. I took some time off for some health issues and some real life issues, but definitely planning on catching up. I was already doing some reading on that last night. So good call. Again, that's HUD / and you could do at A if you want to hide it for all players. And that will hide that. I wonder what else it hides beyond the status effects. Let's take a look. Okay, so you can hide air bubbles, armor, crosshair, okay, hunger. Okay, you can hide a lot of these things. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Touch controls, I'm assuming if you're on mobile. Yeah, those do pop up and take up a bunch of space. Yeah, I'm doing much better now. Yep, I'm doing much better now. Thank you. All right. At that point, I think we're pretty much wrapped up for what I was planning on going over. It was pretty fast. I'll have to try and schedule more stuff for next Saturday. And I do plan on doing this fairly regularly. Saturday morning streams are going to be something I'm going to be trying to do every week. So if you want to learn some stuff, get a chance to talk with other people or me in person, keep coming in on these Saturday mornings. And the next video I'm working on, since you're here with me, I'll give you a hint. I had a request to update my old Iron Man builds, so I am working on that. I am working on using the armor trims to try and create a fairly decent looking Iron Man suit. And then we'll use a bunch of commands to make it wicked. You know, we're going to have missiles, we're going to have repulsors, we're going to have the unibeam, flying in survival mode, all the cool stuff that you like from Iron Man, but available in Minecraft. Yep, adding true at the end hides those particles from the effects. Effects at S. Strength. 10 true. And that way nobody can see the little particles. So if you hide the effects in the upper corner, you hide the particles, you can actually fairly well hide the fact that you're using effects commands. Hi, Tanny. Sorry, I'm actually probably just wrapping up. But I'll be back on live again next Saturday if you're interested in these Saturday morning streams. So let me know. And like I said, I got a couple videos up this past week using commands. Possibly, Petron. I'm working on some stuff right now. I've got a lot of people that are asking, so I'm trying to figure out a way to make that possible. With only one me and so many people asking, it is a pretty big time commitment, so I am trying to figure that out. Absolutely. I'll let everybody know on the channel page, so make sure you stick around and keep an eye on that for new stuff, all right? All right, everybody. I think that's going to wrap up for today, but I will catch you next time.